everyone. Or good afternoon, good evening. Anyway, welcome to Hachi's Sunday morning in US time podcast.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is the first Tanucast podcast session of ours, which is pretty much experimental for now.
Yeah.
So we still haven't gotten any background music, so please, my apology, but hopefully the mic is on.
Yes, I hope so.
And we can get it started. The slide should be visible by now.
Yes. So, in this Tanuki podcast, we will present and explain kind of minor things.
Let's not think about Japanese history.
Yeah,
this
maybe related to games or something.
Sometimes I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
try as much related to video games. Maybe the ones we stream, but sometimes not. I'll just try.
Yeah.
But this time we got a perfect topic. We've just had Ghost of Tsushima released, and we've already streamed for pretty long.
Yes,
because just during this weekend.
It's just so fun game. Just we are
right,
so
it's
addicted.
It's a great game. The story circle around the samurai in a relatively small island in Japan, Tsushima.
Yes, and thank you for your comment, Mr. Lucky13, and welcome to our first Tanuki podcast.
The game illustrates how strong a samurai is.
Yes.
In a really dramatic way, but how strong are samurais in terms of their political power? Yes. When you think about it, Shogunate is about samurai government. So this guy has something to do with politics. You have rules, governments, and all governance on all the systems.
Yes, sensei.
That's gonna be required to sustain it.
Sensei,
Hi.
Please, yeah. I'm not good student at history class, so please, give me detailed explanation about that.
So let me get it started.
Yay!
So one of the key character in the game.
Yeah, very familiar face.
Yeah, the main guy's uncle, Shimura.
In the game.
He's the one who's in charge of the Tsushima Island. He is a ruler. He's a samurai ruler. So he basically is in charge of security. He has to keep the peace of the island. And policing, yes, they were police.
I see. So he is not the strongest samurai. He is much like a ruler.
He is a ruler. He's a regional government.
I see. Interesting.
And maybe one of the most important rules for him is a tax collection for shogunate. Yes, samurai's work actually involves tax collection.
Very interesting. Not fight.
Not just fight and battle. Tax collection is revenue stream.
I see.
This is a simple picture that illustrates the relationship of the shogunate system. So on the top is shogun.
Yes, I see.
And under them there are samurais.
Yes.
And below them there's a peasant.
Yep.
And they all have something in common. The land. Land and all the profit comes from them.
Understandable.
Peasants are in charge of farming. They are supposed to farm and make all the crops, primarily rice.
Yes, that's very traditional crop in Japan.
Yes, Mr. Lucky 13. It basically is a feudal system. So samurais collect tax, and they submit them to shogun. That's the basic of those systems.
I see.
So pretty much Japanese sort of feudal system, shogunate. Let me begin with how it started.
Yes, I'm very curious.
But even before that, we have to talk about two separate political powers. two separate central government.
Yes, please.
That has been throughout the Japanese history. So, in the past, in Middle Age Japan, there are two different government structures. The one run by the emperor and the nobles, and the other is run by samurais.
I see.
So let me proceed with the former. The one government ruled by the emperor and nobles is called Chote. It basically is the Imperial Government. It was the first major power that unified Japan. That was founded in the middle of 7th century.
Very long time ago.
It's a long time ago. Before that, there wasn't really a central government in Japan. It was like a United States with pretty much without the president.
Very
some regional
interesting.
Some regional powers got together and they kind of make the rules. But at one point of time, one of them decided that we need a unified power. We need somebody who's really on the top.
Very new idea at the time.
And they kind of done a coup d'etat. They kind of done a radical restructure.
I see.
Of the political system, and they made Tenno, the emperor, the top of the government structure.
I see.
And that's how Chote started. Founded in 7th centuries, and the emperor still exists today.
Yes.
Yes, as you might all know. But
Yep.
now, as a system, he doesn't have any political power over the government.
Yes. I know it. I barely remember it.
So the second one is Shogunate. It's a samurai government. On the top is the shogun, and it even enjoyed a superior power to the emperor.
That's
Actually,
very impressive. That's very surprising thing.
For almost like 600, 700 years, they had superior power to the emperor. They had more power, so they could do whatever they wanted.
Wow, that's very surprising.
Samurais
fact.
could even tell the emperor what to do. Okay, you're gonna do that.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna decide the things. That's good, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very unique because as far as I see the previous slides, I thought Chote had more power or high class people. I thought
Politically, samurais at one point of the history had more power than the emperors, but they exist no more. Ended in 1868. That's when the emperor once again took its political power back. That's when Meiji era started, and Japan actually became the modern nation.
I see. That's the kind of trigger.
So here comes how Shogunate and Samurai started.
Well, thank you for question, Mr. Lucky 13. Let me repeat your question. If you're correct, then shoguns have the power to cut down those who dishonor them?
Of course he had.
Wow.
Of course he had. That sounds so brutal. When it comes to brutality, look at the picture. What's the difference between a real samurai and some dirty, armored, brutal rebels or bandits or stuff like that? What's the difference? What makes them separate? On what basis samurais can be samurais?
I'm very interesting.
And here comes the answer. Land. Private land.
Very simple.
Yes. Just showing the previous picture. Shogunate has one common thing. All the people have one common thing. The land. And yes, the the private land as private property. Private land is the basis of samurai's power and its emergence. So let me get the history about that. Brief history of land ownership in Japan.
Yes, please.
So before the first shogunate appears, like in 12th century, Japan was ruled by Chote, the emperor power. So, and at the very first of their rules, Chote principally managed all land and people by themselves.
Wow,
So,
really?
in principle, any individuals are not supposed to have their own lands. The
Wow.
emperor allocate the land to them. Okay, you're gonna farm here, you're gonna farm here, and Mr. C, you're gonna farm here, you Mr. D, you're gonna farm here, this land.
Wow.
And they allocate them, and the farmers, the farmers have those allocated land and make the crops and vegetable and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the emperor collect the tax from their lands.
Hey.
And after she dies, the emperor, the government takes all those land back and once again distribute it to somebody else, somebody who is alive.
Hey. Very unique. And indeed, at that time, Chote has very strong power.
Right, and in 8th century, things are starting to change. The government slowly allowing people to have their own land. Like they rule that if you cultivate a part of the land, you can have them. Like at first, it was ruled that if one cultivated some land, he or she can have them like for 3 generations.
Oh.
He himself or she herself, and his son, his or her son and grandson. But after that, they made it permanent.
Oh.
You can have it forever.
Wow.
You can have it forever as much land you cultivate.
Wow, interesting.
That
Interesting
sounds
change.
like a radical change, and it sounded like many people can have their own lands.
Yeah,
The
that's
land is
wonderful.
pretty much distributed. Things didn't really go that way. Actually, the rich got richer.
Wow.
Like the one who already had some power gained even more land.
Why?
It's
Very curious.
it has something to do with some tax avoidance scheme. Yes, this
Kind of familiar topic.
You know.
Even recent time.
some things never change throughout the history.
Yes. It sounds so. So, please tell me details, Tensei.
This picture briefly explains all the stuff. So, back in like 9th, 10th, or 11th century, somehow the noble people
Like this.
gained the right of tax immunity. Like their land cannot be, they didn't have to pay taxes.
Wow. Really?
The noble people or people of certain ranks.
Awesome for nobles.
Yes, it's gonna be really good for them. So the local farmers thought they didn't really want to pay taxes. It could be too much, or they just did save a little money. So they thought one thing. They gave their lands to local nobles or somebody nearby who's in power, who has tax immunity. Just give the land so that the land itself is not taxable.
Oh, I see. Because
The
it's
emperor
now
could-
owned by
yes.
nobles.
Right.
Interesting. Those in power seek to maintain it. Those without power seek to attain it. I see, Mr.
And in
Akira
return,
impacting.
the local nobles assign those farmers as manager. It's not really maybe not really as a proper job, but in return, but it technically kept their ownership, kept the owner so that they could remain technically as the owner of their lands.
Interesting.
So that way, those farmers just pay some money to the local nobles, and they pretty much have their own land. Nothing really changes.
It sounds very good idea for the farmers.
It really was a good scheme.
Yes.
So during this era, like around 10th, 11th century, those local or regional nobles gained their land, got more land.
I see.
Thus gotten richer.
Yeah, makes sense. Very makes sense.
Right, and the central government couldn't do anything with that.
I see.
They have a tax immunity, and those central government officials couldn't even enter their land.
Oh, really? I didn't expect how that strict. Yeah, how strict it is.
Right.
Interesting.
So the emperor gradually lose their control over the local governance.
So.
And as with weakened central power, the rich people, the local nobles really wanted the revenue stream, maximize the revenue stream. So sometimes they try to take over others' land in a violent way.
Wow, very aggressive.
And even government officials sent from the central government try to maximize the benefit, try to maximize the assets, and did kind of the same thing. Sometimes try to take over somebody's property or take it just by violence. Violence.
Yes.
And that's when samurais came in. If somebody's trying to take over your property, your things, in a violent way, you're gonna be fight back.
Yeah, I'll punch that dirty guy's face.
So among those farmers, there are people who get some training or hire some trained people to protect their land's property rights.
I see.
That really is an early form of samurai.
Very interesting.
And gradually, those samurais, once separate according to each farmers and landowners, gradually got together. Under the authority of local nobles. Local nobles are some superior people.
I see. But it must have been very important thing to against the very powerful people.
Right. On top of them, they were very often noble people, so that they have more kind of charisma or authority to rule many people.
Yeah, I guess so.
To actually get them organized.
Interesting.
So as this goes on, they not only have the financial power, but also they're having a great military power.
I see. So, what happened?
What happened was that those organized samurais made their own systems to keep the organization going, to not to break down. Something that stick them together.
All right.
So they come up with a system of granting the rights and in return servant protect. So that really sums up the system of governance system of shogunate.
I see.
The primary job of shogun is to grant and secure rights over land to somebody else. So basically he says so this lands belong to Mr. A, this lands belong to Mr. B. They are their property, and if you mess with that, you'll see.
I see.
That's gonna be big trouble.
Okay. I
And in
understand.
return, his servant who has a protection, who has protection by shogun in terms of the rights. In return, as kind of contract, had the duty of serve and protect whenever a war or dispute happens.
Ah, I see. Very interesting.
That's the basic system of shogunate. And its management of land and its right is pretty much the source of the power.
I see.
Of shogun.
Interesting.
And it's one part of the reason samurais fought fearlessly. It's not really all about virtue, or really cause of samurai, because it's early form of samurai, like in 12th, 13th century.
Interesting.
It wasn't really formulated, but still they fought fearlessly. Partly because of the system and different views of identity.
I see.
So the basis of identity at that time for samurai clans were not individuals, but their family line, family. They always needed somebody to succeed the name and asset, the lands of the family.
I see. Very different from now.
It really is different from now.
I see. Interesting.
Later in the history, they even thought that it doesn't have to be the direct child to succeed a family.
Oh.
Actually, some famous samurais, some famous laws adopted a boy and have him succeeded the family.
Oh.
Like one famous daimyo, Kosagawa Hideaki, actually was an adopted child of the Kosagawa clan, but his stepfather actually assigned him as a successor of the house, successor of the family.
Hey. Interesting.
And they, once again, this picture, and they had enough trust on this system, of this shogunate system. Like once they fight, like once there's a war, if you fight well, bravely, and maybe kill one or two famous samurais, he's gonna be handsomely rewarded. The reward is huge.
I see.
And it doesn't really affect himself, but his whole family.
I see.
Because the reward comes with more land, more asset, so that his whole family can prosper.
Oh.
So the idea is, even if I get killed in a battle, if I fight well and I can prove it, maybe somebody witness it, and he or she can prove it. Yeah, the shogun should reward my family in a handsome way.
I see.
And yes, my family will keep going.
I see. That's why samurai fights kind of fearlessly.
I think this is it. I think that's pretty much that's part of the reason. At least I believe it wasn't just a virtue, but it seems more like the difference of idea of identity and the trust on the systems.
I see. Very interesting.
I think that's big. I think that's a huge influence.
Yes, I think so too. Otherwise, it's kind of ridiculous to fight for nothing.
It seems so.
Yes. So yeah,
At least they should have some faith and trust in this system.
Mm-hmm.
They really believe the shogun will reward them and their family.
I understand.
And that's what really mattered.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
So yes, one thing to take home is it's about the land.
Mm-hmm.
Samurai's power came from the land, and that's how they get all the people together.
Mm-hmm.
And through Japanese history, most of the part there are actually two central governments.
Yes.
Standing together.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of complicated.
The Shogunate and Chote, but it's complicated, but it's something interesting.
Yes.
So
I think so too.
I guess that's pretty much it for today.
Yay!
It's about 30 minutes or so. Just as I expected.
Yes. I think we can finish in time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Hutch, it will post.
I'm gonna
this
Yes,
stream.
I'm gonna upload the whole stream to my YouTube channel.
Yes. So if you have any questions, please type in the comment field.
Or maybe just contact me on Twitter.
Or maybe Discord.
Right, it's also a good way.
Yes. By the way, special thanks for your participation, Mr. Lucky 13. We
Thank you
appreciate
so much
it.
for your comments, and thank you so much if you visit us.
Yes. So
we're
you first, Hutch? You first?
So that's it for today.
Yay! So we will still have some idea for Tanucast.
Tanucast. So maybe we're gonna do this weekly.
Or bi-weekly,
Or bi-weekly.
Yeah, we are still thinking. Yep.
I'll try to do next week once again.
Yep.
But if not, I'm sorry. If I can, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, we will post an announcement on Twitter, so please check that out. Thank you again.
So once again, thank you so much, and Hutch and Tomo signing out. We'll see you next game stream or next Tanucast.
Yes. Have a good week.
Have a
everyone.
good week. Have a good Sunday.